So about a year ago I made this, which is a maze, 3D maze of infinite stairs. And since then I improved it, and I want to somehow, sort of talk about it, how I did it. So I'd say we start from the beginning. So before I thought of this, I saw a reel on Instagram, and someone built basically a field of these kind of stairs, like infinite spiral staircase repeating infinitely. And I thought, shit, that's pretty cool. So then I thought, why don't I do that myself? So I picked the scale. So initially I thought, okay, I'll do these side by side. But then I realized, yeah, this doesn't work. You can't really link up. Gonna link up the platform to another platform on a different staircase. Each staircase connects to like each pillar, and then you can like repeat them. Get like a maze. You can walk around these. This one here, it didn't work because the geometry wasn't there. It's this one, yeah. You got gaps here, gaps here. I added these stairs which connect, but if we remove them to the core spiral staircase, then there'll be gaps here, and then the core pillar is a 3x3. So then I got a bunch of these, I stacked them together, and I tried to see, okay, so I can link up this platform, this spiral staircase, to this platform here, and I can link up this platform to this one here, and I can keep doing that, keep filling like the gaps. So if there's a gap, I can just fill it in with another staircase connecting somewhere to another place. So initially it's all formless, and I try to get like a pattern going. It's like here, I'm doing two phases, like there's a bottom phase and the top phase. The goal was to essentially make a cube of like these stairs, which I could then clone next to each other on top to the side, and it basically infinitely repeats, like an infinitely repeating staircase, you know. So these are some of the prototype phases. The core of it is the grey ones, the stone stairs. Stairs that connect the spiral staircase each other are the dark prism marine. Then we have top sections, so in the red, bottom section, top section in the black, bottom sections in the red, that kind of thing. And eventually we scale up to this. So then we get sort of like a cube, which forms. I think this is the final one. I'm pretty sure this is the final one. But we do these connections, try to optimize as many connections as we can, so that it's a spiral staircase. Like each platform here would have two connections, one going down, one going up in the spiral. We want to optimize it so there's like at least 3 connections. So one of these is coming off it, going into this one. Didn't do the best job with this one, but the stairs, at least they're infinite and repeating. Now, how did we do this? Well, you have to build one staircase to here, then a staircase to there. Try to get like a sort of formula going. Inevitably, this is very confusing, so there's going to be some gaps where you don't have stairs, right? So we have to inevitably build cubes, like these ones, which then connect to other ones. So in the center one here is the proper one, and then you have to check, right, can we do a connection somewhere? Is there one missing? There's a bunch of these cubes. So, for example, there's one here. In the middle, there's a test one. I think there's another one somewhere here. Yeah, here. Then we need to check. And I kept doing this until I like ran into just a gap. Well, see here, for example, there can be a staircase over here and going into here. It wasn't here, so then we had to refine the cube, like add it to the cube, and then continue doing it again and again and again. And because these repeats, so let's say you could have like from here a staircase could be going like in this direction, right? So it's like we need to connect it to here, and up top does it work? And it's like, and then eventually got to a point where it was almost complete. Some staircases were missing, but eventually we found them all. And we got, I believe this is the final version of the cube, and I posted a video of it. It looks really cool in shaders, because the light leaks through like certain parts here, here, the top. It looked really cool. It doesn't work anymore. I tried, and the shader, it just has lighting glitches of the stairs here and doesn't light it. It just doesn't look good anymore, which is unfortunate. And I want to like map it out, like how do the platforms like join, because there's platforms with only 2 connections, some have 3, and then some have 4 connections. So mapped it out like this. And the issue with this first design is that there's a lot of platforms that have just only 2 connections, so they only connect in the spiral, which isn't good. See, for example, here, right? You have only 2 connections here, so in the 3D thing, like in the massive cube, you're gonna have spaces here where there's no connection here, no connection here, and it just looks weird. I'll see if I can find it, because it just looks weird, and it's like it looks like there's supposed to be stairs here, but there just isn't, and that is it's one here. So you have like staircase here, and then you have this gap. So it's like it just doesn't look really good. You have this like weird gap. So I wanted to find a solution to improve this. So a few months after doing this, posting the video, whatever, I think, you know, let's go improve it. So I do try to improve it in a new world this time. So initially I thought to experiment to offset where the spiral staircases start from. Before, they all used to start from, let's say you have the stairs over here and they go up, and it's all the same for them. So they're all formulaic. I thought, okay, let's try maybe differ where they start from, but that didn't work. We had to do like these kind of weird staircases here, because you'd have places where the platforms they'd like meet each other. Like here, that's kind of weird. You have a platform right there. That just doesn't look really good. So we went back to the original design where the staircases all start from the same point and then interconnect with each other like that. So the goal is that each of the platforms would have 3 connections. So going down the spiral, up the spiral, and then a connection to another set of stairs or another pillar. That was the goal, and eventually figured it out. Yeah, these ones. So yeah, all of them are orange. Each of them have 3 connections. Each and every single one. We use the different block material for the stairs, but they connect like through different paths, and it's good to visualize what they do. But there's just one issue with this, and kind of defeats the whole point of like the infinite stairs. I mean, they look infinite. It looks good. They look infinite. They fill up the space neatly, but what happens is, let me switch to creative mode. If we actually walk through them, what you'll realize is that, right, we can go this way and we can go this way, right? We can also go down, we can go this way, we can go up, and we can go down again. We can also go back up this way. We can also go to the side. But here's the thing you're seeing is that I'm literally traveling in a straight line. Like along these pillars. I'm only traveling along these pillars, right? And like, so why can't I get to the other ones here? Well, I can here. I'm on this one here. I can get to the other one here. Well, let's do that again. And okay, to the side. We can go down. We can go to the side again. We can go this way. Side again. Back up. And I'm traveling in a straight line. But this time I'm going along this line of pillars. And it's like, wait, why can't I go to the other ones? And the reason is because these are basically, it's a bunch of stairs that are like layered on top of each other and crisscrossing like that. So you can't actually go from this one to, let's say, a diagonal somewhere there. From this one, depending on where you start, because the platforms are slightly different, you can go from here to there to there. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work infinite because you can't go everywhere, which is annoying. You essentially have infinite sets of stairs that are interlaced with each other. We don't want that. We want one set of stairs that is interlaced all together with itself, so that you can like travel between it. So back to the drawing board. Ultimately, I realized, right, we can't have 3 connections to everything. Some of them will have to have 2 connections, some of them will have to have 4 connections, but we still want as many 3 connections as we can, right? So then start working on solutions. Here's some of the prototypes, different materials to indicate different things. If you're thinking this is confusing trust me, it's confusing. Dark prismarine, you can connect to the dark prismarine, that connects to the dark prismarine, that connects to there. Same with the brick, they connect, each one of these connects. The design was, right, this one can travel from there because it's easy to connect that to that, there's a space there. But then you want to do more connections, and it's like, okay, what pattern do we use? We want it to be like sort of ordered, not like last time where it was like disordered. So we have a bunch, I don't even know what this is, to be honest. I'm kind of lost in what I was doing. I was trying to find patterns where we could connect these. And if you're thinking, what does the diamond and the emerald stand? I don't even know. Man, I ain't got I ain't got a clue. No idea. Here's some more prototyping with designs, how they're layered on top of each other. Because you're working in 3D space. You're trying to do a pattern in 3D. This is extremely difficult to think, and you have to manage all these separately, and it's just a pain. So then I had to think, right? Here's another pattern. I had to think, what pattern? We need to think of a pattern to get this to work. Yeah, eventually I actually came up with a pattern. Here it is. 2 patterns actually. So each of these pillars, it will connect with like a staircase to there, diagonals, and that kind of thing. And this works. I found a pattern that works. Now this pattern, if you lay these on top of each other, right, these intersect. These don't work. In 2D space, you can't intersect them. However, in 3D space, they mesh perfectly. This is the final design, by the way. They mesh perfectly together. Almost perfectly. There is some flaws, but, you know, otherwise it's basically perfect. The pattern meshes perfectly. And is a representation of the pattern in like if we stack one pattern and the other in like a checkerboard style fashion, you get this kind of thing, which I think is pretty cool. So a bunch of these patterns, you want some ones that go like stairs and diagonals, and then like full diagonal. It just represents the pathways that we can do through these, and each of the materials represents which phase of doing. Unfortunately, there's just one slight tiny flaw, and that is, instead of having it one unified staircase that all interconnects with each other, it's actually 2. The reason is because, so for example, this one here, this pillar here, it will never connect to this pillar here. This pillar here will only connect to this pillar, and this pillar, and this. Right, so when I was recording, I realized I didn't do too great job of explaining like the blue and the red, so I'll explain it now, right? There's 2 types of pillars which have spiral staircases on them. You have the blue, and you have the red. Now,
connections made from the blue will only ever connect to other blue pillars. Example here, you have the prismarine staircase going from spiral here, goes to a midsection on this pillar here, which is a red pillar, but it doesn't connect to the spiral, so it doesn't really make a connection to it, and it just goes diagonal straight to another blue here. The only example I think I have near me is here, where you have the blue here, and then it connects with the prismarine up to here, another blue. This is blue here, the staircase goes here, prismarine down there, and it connects to this pillar, which is, you guessed it, another blue. From here, connects to here, midsection on the red, but doesn't connect to the spiral again, and then it lands here. And this one, oh, I can imagine, it's a blue. The same thing with the red. The red, the staircases, they only go from red to here, connects on the diagonal all the way to there, comes out from the bottom here and connects to a red. Red will only connect to red, and blue will only connect to blue. It's not possible with these spirals to connect from a red to a blue. It is just not, because you can't connect from here to anything here, because I mean, where are you gonna connect it to? You're gonna go up the staircase there, that leads to there. You need these to be offset, and then you need like a midsection platforms that connect to different spirals there. Basically, you need the spirals to be offset or have them like disconnected from each other, and then you could maybe do a like cut off this here, remove the staircase here, then you get a staircase that leads, it will lead perfectly to here. But then that cuts off the spiral here, so basically you need to have cut spirals. And then you basically have to have a whole different system than these patterns to actually be able to do this. You have to just completely rethink this. Everything you've done before, completely rethink this. Basically, you have two sets of stairs that interlace with each other, but they actually never connect. Now, that is still better than that one there. And the original one also works like this, because I don't think there ever was a single connection that went from like this pillar to then this pillar, because they all followed the spiral staircase. And if you follow the spiral staircase, you can never get from this one to this one. Put simply, it is just not possible. However, I did see in this pattern, I did see some gaps. So for example, these form like let's cross it out. These form like squares. So you have a square here, like here, and then you have diagonals, so that they are all cut up into triangles. So you see triangle here, triangle here, triangle here, one here. But then I saw gaps, right? So you have a gap here to form like this sort of square into two triangles. You have a gap here, and I believe there's a gap here connecting to that there. And I thought, right, let me connect these up. So I have them connected up here, and damn, it forms a perfect thing. The grid is now basically complete. However, there's just one problem. When I try to actually apply this, it's just not possible. And the limiting factor is the spiral staircases. For me to be able to make these connections, I'd have to get rid of the spiral staircases. So essentially, each pillar would have disconnected spiral staircases. The impossibility of this, you can sort of like imagine it as like imaginary numbers. Like they are, but they're not. Like you can visualize them here, but they're not really there. It's essentially these yellow parts to connect these from this pillar to this pillar, which is ideal because then all of this will be one staircase. Yeah, it doesn't exist. You can think of it as imaginary. If this will exist in 3D space, well, guess what? This thing exists in imaginary space. It doesn't exist. You can represent it on the grid. Nice perfect grid of triangles here, triangle here, triangle here. Everywhere is a triangle, except it's just not possible. It's imaginary. Root of -1 or something. But that's only later thinking. This I only did now. The rest of these I did months ago. But let me just show the final versions of these, because I think they're pretty good. So here you have the coded floors. These platforms represent whether they are on the blue or the red, and we do this by using tones. So this is a shade of blue, this shade of blue, this shade of blue. Red, well, I mean, you put some orange, you put some yellow into the red, you get that. You put more yellow, guess what? You have yellow. They're more like on the red spectrum than on the blue spectrum. The in-between points, which it doesn't matter because these would never form connections, is green. So it's like a midpoint. And yeah, as you can see, 4 connections is the darkest one. The middle color is 3 connections. The light color is 2 connections. Where's the red then? Well, there is none because it's only blue. It's only blue. Only the blue ones form 4 connections. However, the other one is more rich in 3-point connections. So it's like a trade-off. Is there a way to maybe optimize it to remove some of the blue ones and add some red ones in that will substitute it? Maybe there is, but then you have to rework. Okay, but then I have to remove this staircase and this staircase. It basically has a cascading effect on everything. Basically, it breaks the pattern and the whole purpose of having a pattern, which is kind of long. So here is the final completed design with the stone again. However, one issue I saw compared the reason why the previous one is better is that you have these sight lines here where you look out and then you see okay breakages in like the light where it ends. The problem with this one is that you basically have like the only type you hit like big one here is like this gap here, like this rectangular gap here, and it's everywhere. Like if I go here, you have the same rectangular gap. You won't find any other gaps. And the gaps like through diagonals, they're also much less varied. They're basically the same thing, repeats, same thing. It's basically less, it's more pattern orientated than Infinite, but it has less like interesting shapes. It creates less interesting shapes. And that's just the cause of the pattern. You only have one only hand. When you look into the horizon, you can only see like a rectangle, right? What I mean by this is, right, this is not a rectangle. You have this kind of shape, right? It's a weird shape. This diagonal is like a weird one there. Well, now you have this shape as well, like an upside down, and it goes like that. If I look to the side, you have this kind of like inverted diamond sort of shape. If I look here, you got another weird like kind of shape. Basically, this one has more variety in shapes and like the sightlines that you see, and with shaders, you get better lighting effects because I guess it's more varied. It looks more like infinite but randomized and not like infinite ordered. I mean, this is randomized. That's the whole point of it. But you also have these weird kind of platforms that are sticking out here. So like, do you want the infinite random or infinite ordered? Which looks better? Oh, that's up to you. I think even though I spent more time on the other one and doing developing all the patterns, like, yeah, you don't even understand how many fucking headaches I've had over that. But this one, doing it like this, I mean, I kind of like it more. Probably because the shaders still worked when I did it for this one, so it actually made it look good, not like the other one. The other one also has less gaps for the light to come in, so the lighting looks there's less variety of it. This one has much more variety. You have more darker regions, more lighter regions. So it's whichever one you want, really. I also tried some other designs of other blocks, like this one have like a more white aesthetic rather than like a stony, concrete, brutalist one. This one's more like heaven type of infinity type of thing. I also tried to encase them inside with lights, and this one actually has water at the bottom to like make it like a tomb of Poseidon or something like that kind of theme, and then at the bottom, yeah. I also tried this one with the lanterns on these corners here. Wherever there's one of the only two connections, we could place a lantern. It looks better because it's less bright. What else did I try? I tried one with the water flowing down. So because there is gaps in between these, you could just put water on top and it will flow down. You can change the biome of the thing to get different kind of watercolors. This one's going for more like I think it's desert here. It is warm ocean. I also tried one because you can fill the gaps, right, with water. Guess what? You can just put a command to replace all the water with blocks. So now you have walls in between all the things, and it's get much darker inside. I also did one with lanterns, so you can actually see. Call this concrete halls, or like a concrete tube. I guess you could play the concrete halls Minecraft OST with it as well. I guess it would work nicely. Lastly, this will like the PC. It might honestly crash, but it crashed it before. This is however many millions of blocks. This is basically like you get these ones, right? This is a 3x3 of like the base design. So this is a 3x3, and this is a 3x3 of these. So it's a massive. It's even possibly I'm not rendering. Yeah, that's where it ends. The PC the PC gonna struggle on this. If I load this up with shaders, the PC will generally crash, which is a problem. So I don't like having this like this rendered in because it's absolutely massive. Now, for the future things I want to do with this. So one of them was because you have like these infinite stairs, right? But you can see the next staircase across. I had an idea of like, okay, can I place walls inside here? It's all like divided. You have all these divides, so you don't see where the infinite stairs are going. You're just going in an infinite set of staircase. That is turning out more difficult than expected because okay, what are the rules? Do I need to put like walls here? Okay, but what about the ceilings? Because some of these ceilings, there's a low ceiling here, but a high ceiling here. So it's like, I do want to do all the rules. The most I could do is these walls because there is gaps in between here and here. And I could just like pour water down. It's much easier to do that. I tried on the previous sword. There's some ones where I tried to fill with blocks like the walking spaces, and then fill up trying to put the iron blocks where like the walking space is, and then you can fill in the rest with like if if you cover all the walkable space, you can fill in the rest of like any block you want, and then just use the fill command to replace this with air, and then you got like the covered things. But I realized, wait, that's just gonna be long, and then it's like, oh, what if I miss a part? Well, guess what? I have to redo the whole fucking thing, and it's like, just super long. Building this was long already. Doing this, it's just even longer. I'm not bothered. Other project I want to do with this is make it so that they connect with each other. So let's say a blue column can connect with a red column. But for that, I would need to think of a new whole pattern system and break up the spiral staircases. So I sort of started here. It's long, but it is doable, I think, and I'll definitely try work on it. But for now, yeah, that's basically this whole project. Pattern's really cool though. I had to draw it up on a fucking sheet of paper. Here's one with just blue and red. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool.